Well, hey there. You've stumbled upon the intersection of internet quandaries and psychological insight. Welcome to Veritas Views on AITA, where the quirks of the internet meet the expertise of Veritas Psychology Partners.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Michael MacBride, and I'm joined by our dynamic duo of psychologists.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gayle MacBride, and with me today, and God, more days than I care to actually admit, is my partner, Dr. Daniel Kessler, whose intellect is always matched by his wit.
Yeah. Thanks, Gayle. I look forward, as always, to tackling yet another interesting conundrum that Michael's going to bring us. And I hear we have a bit of a recap, so that's cool too.
Yes.
Exactly. Before we plunge into the next one, we wanted to circle back around to a previous episode where we were dealing with a situation with a daughter who chose a birthday dinner that her brother was allergic to. And we ended up pulling our children. So, Gayle, why don't you start us off?
Well, okay. So Michael, the host, and I have two children, and one is 15. And I thought, well, I'm really curious to hear what a 15-year-old boy would say about these options, given that our family also values going out to dinner or having a special birthday dinner that is identified by one of the individuals, or by the birthday person, I should say, and doing that as a family. And so I asked him, and he kind of thought about it for a moment, and really seemed like maybe the at-home option was going to be okay. But then I think the wheels turned a bit, and he was like, no, I think it's absolutely reasonable to request that the family go to a different place that wouldn't be overly difficult for one family member. He was definitely in favor of the family dinner at a place that was more amenable to everyone in the family.
Yeah, and I asked my kid, and again, the situation, if I remember correctly, was that the older daughter wanted a seafood restaurant, and the younger son was allergic to seafood. And they probably could have found something on the menu, but maybe cross-contamination. But they didn't have a lot of other options. And I described the scenario to my son, my 18-year-old. He was like, "Yeah, that's fucked."
Great response.
like why? He's like, it's a family dinner. I mean, yeah, I'd want to have what I want too, but like he said, we my wife eats no meat. I generally eat no meat. It's like if I wanted to go to a steakhouse and y'all just ended up sitting there, that would suck for everyone. I want this to be a family thing. So I'm pleased that the boy agrees with me. But yeah,
even when the internet didn't.
The internet didn't agree with us. That was part of why we wanted to ask our kids. The internet didn't agree with it, but he just loved it. He was like, "Yeah, I got like halfway through." He's like, "Yeah, that's fucked."
Yeah.
And I asked our youngest spontaneously, really quick before we started, and he said there are two assholes here. One, the person who chose the meal that they knew their brother couldn't participate in, and then two, the mother who ripped that away from them.
Oh man!
Oh wow! All right,
we should have the 13-year-old on a podcast.
Yeah, we really should. We should bring in the 13-year-olds for the podcast. No, all right. So I'm glad we were able to do that recap and circle back with our own kids. That was kind of a fun conversation to have.
Yeah. Well, welcome both of you. For any of the newbies out there who don't know what we're talking about, if you're not familiar with this kind of conversation about am I the asshole? In short, someone posts a scenario just like we did and ask readers, who's the asshole here? And that's what we're going to determine today with a different situation. If you want to follow that one,
I'm excited to hear this one.
Yeah, you can go back and find the previous episode and check that out. But neither Dan nor Gayle have been prompted or read this or seen it in any way. So let's go. Today's one it's kind of a longer post, so bear with me, but I think all the pieces are kind of relevant. So the headline, the quick encapsulated version is just, am I the asshole for taking a woman's wet laundry out of the community washing machine?
Oh man, I'm just feeling my days that I lived in an apartment here.
Yeah, I'm already going. Yeah. All right. Let's hear the details. I'm thinking, how could this be a long post? It's like, the laundry was there, you took it out.
Right.
Like, I mean, If it's been there for a long time, it's been there for 10 seconds. All right. But there's a long thing here. So, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all right. So I live in an apartment complex with roughly 200 occupants. We share two laundry rooms with about 20
No.
washers and dryers, 10 of each.
All right.
There is an app that allows you to use these washers and
Of course there
dryers.
is. I love that there's an app for that.
I do too. Where was that app when I was in college in 1980?
Yeah, well,
Certainly requires
cell phone,
fewer
yeah.
quarters for sure, but
Yeah.
you pay for the washing using the app, and the app sends you an estimate of the washing cycle duration and a notification
Yes.
when your laundry is done.
Excellent.
That's fantastic.
I
Other
love it.
users of the app can see if and how many of the washers and dryers are currently available in use, but can't see whether there is still wet laundry in them.
You
Because
know
of
how
the
many minutes or hours of my life I could get back if I had this app when I was younger?
I want that. Yeah. Well, also they didn't have cell phones when I was younger, but that's
Oh.
just, yeah. So
True.
Yeah. All right, good.
Because of the
Keep going.
fact that most people work a 9 to 5 job in our facility, these washers and dryers are mostly unused during the working hours, but are often occupied in the evenings and weekends. A few
Okay.
days ago, I wanted to wash my laundry and saw that there was only one machine available. When I went downstairs, I saw that the machine had finished its cycle, but the person hadn't taken their wet laundry out yet. There was a laundry bag in front of the machine, so I took their laundry and put it in the bag and then put my own in and started the washing cycle. Sometime after I got back to the apartment, our apartment complex group chat, which is another thing that would have been helpful, I imagine,
Yes.
had blown up because apparently the woman whose laundry I had taken out was pissed that I hadn't waited for her to do it herself and started accusing whoever had done it of being a pervert.
Oh, that's over the line. Sorry, go on.
I chimed in and said that it was her own responsibility to do so and that she knew exactly when her laundry would be done because of the app, and that's the only way to use these machines. That it was rude of her to assume that somebody had to wait on her when these washers belonged to everybody, and that she must have thought very highly of herself to think that others would care about her wet laundry that much.
Oh,
Oh, no.
I
yeah.
know. She got
Oh,
angrier, and others joined her side.
really?
Of course.
Oh, big surprise there.
Saying I should have sent a message in the group chat and waited at least 5 minutes for her to come pick it up. I didn't respond because I didn't feel like arguing about it. Today, essentially the same thing happened again, except I sent a message that I had taken someone's laundry out before I put my own in and left the laundry room. People got angry at me again and said we had all agreed that people wouldn't be touching each other's laundry, but to me, it seems like I didn't agree to anything. They are also continuing the pervert thing, which I think is highly inappropriate. Personally, I feel like I'm in the right, but since so many of my neighbors agree, I may be the asshole. So, what do you think? Am I the asshole for taking out her laundry?
First of all, I want to say you are 100% right, Michael. All of those details are really important. So I appreciate you going through all of that to get us here today, because I think there's a lot of fodder here. Dan, do you want to start?
There's so much. There's so much here. I mean, on the face of this is a fairly simple question. Oh gosh. I mean, so it's not. I haven't done this since I lived in a dorm, a long time ago. But it was fairly common to go into the dorm laundry room and have, if you didn't get your stuff, the laundry would be stacked up. Like people would take the wet stuff and they put it on top of a different machine and they put their shit in and wash it. And it was not unusual to go down there. I know we didn't have a group chat. But then I lived in a co-ed dorm, and some of the girls sometimes did say that some of their undergarments went missing sometimes. So, her speculation in this story that the guy's a pervert, I mean, it is not without basis.
We don't know the gender of the individuals here. We don't know the gender of the individual who had laundry in the machine. We are making some assumptions. And
we do know the gender of the person laundry was a woman
that was doing her laundry.
The one that was left in the machine.
Okay, so we know that person's a woman, but we don't know that the poster is male, right?
I don't know if we know that. I think we're making an assumption the
I
poster
think
is
we're
man
making an
based on
assumption
the
based on
accusation that the
pervert.
person is pervert. Yeah, I think we're assuming
Yes.
that.
Oh, okay. So sorry. There is actually where clarification. So people ask for information.
Okay.
So the poster does clarify a couple things. So let me read that really quick.
Please.
To answer some questions, I didn't wait in either case. So did you wait was one of the questions that came up. There's no way for me to know how long their laundry was done since the app either says there's a machine available or not. As to why I didn't wait, um, it feels weird for me to stand around a laundry room for 5 minutes every time I want to do laundry when the person who cares about others not wanting to touch their laundry can show up 5 minutes earlier. Small inconvenience to touch their laundry for 2 seconds. Also, I am male, and I assume the pervert thing is because there was underwear in there or something, but honestly, I didn't look.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Well, our
your
assumptions
assumptions were correct. Dr.
correct.
Kessler, finish, please.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think?
Mm. It is problematic. This app and the community chat have some really beneficial opportunities that I think are being overlooked by the poster, except I think that the poster also has some legitimate points here. You know, you and I have already talked about the fact that we have waited for laundry machines in one form or another, and that it wasn't uncommon for someone to forget about, move on, just not get back to the laundry machine. And so you take the clothes out and you put it on the top. And that's a thing that happened. And I know I've certainly been in that position. Absolutely. I think there is a level of justification and impatience on the poster's part, though, that it does seem to be, he's saying, not reasonable to wait. And because I don't know, I shouldn't have to wait. And I do find that a little problematic and a little impatient, given that you are living in a community living situation. It is unfortunate, and maybe a future feature, there we go, of the app to indicate how long the machine has been stopped. Because in those situations, I think you do need to be responsive to getting down and getting your laundry out, especially because others may be waiting.
Yeah. I'm a little troubled by assumptions here.
Mm-hmm.
There's the first assumption
Really?
is that he's a pervert because he took her laundry out and there's an accusation thrown. But the second assumption, he said something, and now I'm blanking on it. He said something really harsh. Like he jumped all over her and got very entitled and I'm not, that's not okay. Like everyone, I think, had an opportunity to make a positive. And whenever we work with couples and relationships all the time, and we're always telling people to make positive assumptions wherever you can about people's behaviors. And it sounds like everyone in here, the original poster, the person whose laundry was left, and everyone in the building made negative assumptions about everyone else in here.
Absolutely. And we tend to do that in social psychology, right? If you don't actually know someone else, they're your out group, and you make
Right.
more negative assumptions about people who don't belong to your group. And I think that's what's happening here, is just a simple social psychology phenomenon.
Yeah. Everyone just went, well, he must have been doing this for nefarious reasons, instead of like I'm picturing dude going downstairs and going, oh, geez, there's shit in the machine and I'm tired. I just want to get my laundry going. And I imagine her being upstairs and the thing dings off. And she's like, I am right in the middle of something. I want to finish up what I'm doing. I got this email I got to send to my boss, or I'm working on this project for school if they're a college and whatever. I will get down there in like 10 friggin' minutes. And it should be fine. I imagine both of them in that place,
I think
And
that they were probably both right. That's right at this point.
Yeah. Neither of them are wrong to start out with.
Right.
Now, I think they both took a negative turn that was completely unnecessary here. Their initial behavior wasn't necessarily wrong. She's not a terrible person for leaving her laundry in there from what it might have been 2 or 3 minutes. It might have been 15.
Right.
He's not terribly wrong for going, okay, I got to get my shit going and let me do this, and I'll let people know. And then they all go south with negative assumptions and harshness and cross accusations that just spur on such hostility.
In my office, when we have these kind of opportunities to talk with people about how they communicate, especially in high conflict or potentially high conflict situations, I mean, the first thing I'm going to tell someone is don't name call. To name call someone, to call someone a pervert is not useful. It's not going to produce a helpful or productive conversation. And so I think that's one of the first places this goes south. Now, I do appreciate that the poster chimed in the community and kind of said, it's me, and put his hand up in the air and owned it. I think that was a helpful thing. Unfortunately, of course, it came back to kind of bite him in the ass a bit, but I think,
but with some
but owning it was, sorry,
but with cross accusation.
Yes, I mean, he didn't own it in a particularly mature way, and
Right.
certainly added to the little fire that began, and to use your word from another episode, created a conflagration where you have this whole community now, weighing in and up in arms when it wasn't their laundry, and they need to just shut the hell up and let two people, it's a community issue, but right now it is two people negotiating something that happened that was unfortunate, and they needed to have maybe taken that offline and had a more productive conversation instead of doing it in this public forum. It's sort of akin to yelling in the streets when the neighborhood is quite busy and shouting at each other. It's not useful. It's not going to produce anything that's constructive.
Yeah, and I just there wasn't a great opportunity for him to say I would just wanted to get laundry done, and I don't mean to offend. Like, he could have, you're right. I should have sent a text before doing something, especially the second time. Like, I could have sent a text before doing this, and that would have been the right thing to have done. And he missed an opportunity to really come in and be like a reasonable person. I also, if I opened up, and I'll be honest, if I opened up a washer and I've only had this situation with a shared washer like this in a co-ed dorm or a single gender dorm. But if I went into a dorm that both men and women were in the laundry, I would be more hesitant to pull the laundry out. If I opened it up and it was obviously a woman's laundry, I probably would hesitate a bit, because I wouldn't want her, like, she may not want her things touched by some random dude. That can be really uncomfortable for her. And I think there's that it's reasonable to say, hey, as a man, maybe you should pause here, because like, this may feel like this is going to feel like could feel like a violation to her, and it obviously did. So, like, I would probably wait longer if I opened it up and there were obviously, stereotypical female clothing versus stereotypical male clothing in there. I just think there's too many opportunities there to cross a boundary that would make someone else feel uncomfortable. And I'm okay with my feeling uncomfortable with having to wait 5 more minutes or 10 minutes versus their feeling uncomfortable that maybe something they were violated in some way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think as a woman, having had my laundry in a machine and maybe taken out, and I can't remember a specific instance, but I can absolutely affirm that it seems strange to have your laundry touched by anybody else of any gender. It feels very revealing because of course the clothing in there that other people don't see and don't experience unless they are intimate with you. And so I do find it problematic, even though I've been on the other side of, literally this laundry has been sitting here for an hour or more. And so now we're not just in the middle of something and I can't quite put this down and I'm getting to it. It feels more almost egregious that the laundry has been sort of neglected. And in those cases where I've waited, certainly have taken things out. And, you kind of do it with that, I'm just not going to look at the undies and whatever else is in there and try to give them some privacy, but you really can't, because you're, hauling sopping wet laundry out. And I think it's problematic.
I think that I mean, I would have encouraged him to wait.
Absolutely.
Knowing now that there's a group, knowing as we got along the way, there's a group chat, like, send a message to the group chat. Hey, I'm trying to do laundry. If anyone's almost done, or if your laundry's gone off, I'd really appreciate if you came down and got it out. Or if it's there, hey, shoot back a message here and I'll go ahead and pull it out if you're okay with it. That would have been a very
great
appropriate
ways to do
thing
it,
to do.
for sure.
Would have had the opportunity, then she might have said, oh yeah, I get it. Or she might like, I'll be down in a minute. Like, can you wait like 5? And you go, oh, yeah, okay. You know, there are
Yeah.
so many. I often say like most rom-coms could be resolved by like a good conversation, 8, 9, 10 minutes into it, and then like roll credits because it's done.
Right. No one would watch that because
it
it would be too reasonable.
Yeah, like, oh, we could all be grown-ups about this. And I think there
Yeah.
was an opportunity for him to act like a grown-up and send a message. And I think she could have voiced her complaint maybe without, as you mentioned, without the name calling, like, hey, that felt like a violation to me. I really don't like when people touch my clothing. It would have been right for you to have waited longer. I think would have been a better response. But
And
his
I
first response should have
suspect,
been to send the message to the group chat.
yes, and I suspect maybe, he said, I didn't agree to nothing. Like, I get that you didn't agree. The community's imposing this on you. And I totally can feel you on that particular point. But I do wonder if they had had a more productive, constructive first conversation, if he would have been more inclined to follow the community's ask to send the message, right? If you're called a perv and you're made to feel, about 2 inches big, like that's not cool, and you're less likely to follow along with the established norms of your community, as opposed to the way you said it, which was much more kind and polite and productive. He might have been like, yeah, all right, I'll send a message.
Yeah.
I do find it problematic that the community coached him and what the behavior expectations were of a community member, and he was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So like at the beginning, he starts out with being kind of impatient when he could have had there were better choices.
Yes.
Then he becomes a dick when he really gets snarky with the community. But the third thing, when he did it a second time and then sent the message afterwards, now he's firmly crossed the line into you're an asshole. Because that was a fuck you. That was
it was
and there was laundry in there, and I took it out this time again. So whoever it is, come down here and get it. Like that was a dick move.
Yeah.
So like there's sure. that was unequivocal. His response was definitely in the asshole territory, but he really gets unequivocal down the road.
All right, now
let me ask you something really quick that comes up in this from the feedback, and I'll get into what the internet says. But one of the things that ended up being a very interesting kind of side conversation is, how long do you wait? Like, is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? And there was a lot of discussion about, how can you know? Like, when does that clock start? And, so like if you had to put a number on it, like what is the socially appropriate length of time to wait?
10 minutes.
Ooh. How many?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. That's what I was going to say too. Damn, I wanted to be different than you. I think 5 minutes would be my preference. It's just a good community member. But 15 feels like too much, right? And 5 is not a reasonable expectation. You've got parents that are living in buildings like this and lots of other things. I think 10 minutes, if you're in that window, you should get some grace.
Yeah, I could totally see myself throwing a load of laundry in, going upstairs and cooking dinner. I got something. I just throw in the pasta in. I don't want to go downstairs and do that. Let me flip the laundry, or let me throw the laundry after I throw the pasta in. Now I know I've got 8 minutes or whatever. Like I can do that. I can totally see it. I think 5 minutes is not enough, but by 15 minutes, you should get yourself down there and do it. So 10 minutes to me seems very reasonable, but they definitely need to add that feature because they could. It's connected.
This is so easy. This is a miss on the app.
It stops. It would be very reasonable. And then they could set a community rule. Listen, at 10 minutes, nobody touches your clothes until 10 minutes. But at 10 minutes, it's on you. I think that would be a very reasonable community rule. I'm setting it right now for them.
Ooh, yes.
I like it. Yeah, that's
their new official rule. And whoever wrote the app, fix the damn thing.
Thank you.
Because they could. It would be. I'm not a techie person like that. But if you know that it stopped and you sent a message, when the message was sent, it'll be very easy functionality to add to an app like that to know how long it's been.
Yeah. And I would go a step further. I mean, clearly there's communication between the washer or dryer and that app. So maybe the door stays locked until 10 minutes after, or something like that. So
except for the person who has the app can unlock it.
Yeah, kind of. Yes. Yeah. Ooh, that's really
great. Once it unlocks, you're fair game.
Yes.
Yeah. But man, I loved seeing the little nuanced conversations about like, what is enough, and when does that clock begin?
Right.
So if you're up in your apartment and you didn't notice that your laundry stopped 10 minutes ago, but you react within 5 minutes of that time, that clock begins at different times. And anyway, it's really difficult
Oh,
to
5
pin that
minutes of
down.
when you notice your laundry is done. Yeah,
Right.
that could be an hour and a half later. That's not
Right.
cool.
And
Yeah.
somebody defending the poster said, one thing we don't know is when this happened. Like you mentioned, people work 9 to 5. If you happen to have the day off and you went downstairs at noon and there was there's laundry in there, it's a safe assumption based on everything you've told us that perhaps that's from last night and somebody didn't get it out. But
Yeah.
again, like kind of playing the assumption game, it's hard to.
And my assumption was that we were actually doing it during a higher traffic time
Yeah.
because clearly this was the only washer available and the other 9 washers were occupied and probably currently running. So this said to me that we were probably working on an evening or a weekend here
Evening or weekend.
when
So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this so underscores how many opportunities people miss to make a positive assumption or even a neutral assumption as opposed to making a negative assumption.
Yeah.
And what an unfortunate turn of events here this was, that dude is impatient and then the names get thrown out and then he responds really negatively and harshly, and then the community responds negatively and harshly, and everyone misses out on a great opportunity here. I don't think he was right to take the laundry out in the first place. But I don't know that he was an asshole for doing that, but you could have made a better choice. But then everyone just sort of acts unkind. Now, the original poster, by the way, is the biggest dick here, for sure.
So we're into the ruling phase of this discussion.
Yeah. All right, Michael.
Let's do this.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely, Dan. So he's an asshole. Gail, where are you at?
I agree. I think everyone sucks here. So I'm gonna pass that out. I just think he sucks more than everybody else because of the big fuck you that he gives and how he handles it after sort of being corrected and his hostile first volley with the community. He had an opportunity to kind of keep it a little bit more above board, and he missed a number of opportunities. So I think he's the biggest asshole here, but everybody sucks.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think everyone missed an opportunity to make a positive assumption. Everyone missed an opportunity to at least be kind and respectful in a community. But he was the biggest dick.
Yeah. And I do think, again, social psychology tells us how these humans are going to behave, because with that level of anonymity in a group chat like that, like you show up as a name, but you're not really known. And so it does become sort of safer to air out your grievances in less than kind and polite ways on these kinds of forums with that assumption of anonymity. And we know that when you're anonymous to an individual, you are more inclined to hurt them with that increased distance between you and the other. So I really do think there's in-group, out-group stuff going on here. And then there's stuff that is supported in the literature about our willingness to hurt someone at a distance.
Oh, absolutely. Gosh, we can go back to, are we going back to Stanley Milgram in the 1950s?
Yes, absolutely. Like our roots, man.
The percentage of killing the guy. Yeah. He didn't actually.
Not really. Nobody was actually killed in that experiment. It was just good actors.
Great experiments to read about, though. But we've got that piece. We've got the tragedy of the commons, which was my favorite thing from when I didn't sleep through my sociology class. This idea that everyone thinks that they're doing their fair share, and everyone thinks that they're only taking their fair portion. But if everyone takes their fair portion, you run out early, and if everyone pays in their fair share, you come up short, and nobody is trying to screw it. That's the most fascinating thing, is nobody, when you have the group check, no one is trying to screw anyone else, and everybody thinks they put in their fair share, but you always come up short. And everyone thinks they put in their fair share plus some because they're kind. Yeah. I just find that to be such a fascinating phenomenon, and everyone thinks they have this much use of the washer entitled, and we make these assumptions that really aren't, like, we think we're being fair and we're not.
Yeah.
So this one, unlike some of our other ones, was much more divisive on the internet. There were most people pointed to initially, he's not the asshole for moving the clothing. Like, that's fine. Most people were like, you should have waited. You should have given him 5 to 10 minutes. Some people said 15. But not the asshole for moving the clothing. You're an asshole for how you reacted and then behaved. And the fact that you then repeated the behavior again really solidifies the fact that you're the asshole.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We agree. Hey, we agree with the internet this time.
That's actually remarkable. Wonderful.
That is.
Some people did say everybody sucks here. A few other people said not the asshole, and they were definitely in the minority. And in fact, several people commented that they were secondary accounts of the original poster, like coming in and like feeding stuff in because they were created relatively new and they were burner accounts, possibly.
Oh, so the guy like came in and chimed on his own thread to defend himself.
Yeah, and because they cited like specific things, and anyway, it was kind of funny. A bunch of them have been deleted now, so that's one of the things I love about the internet is just kind of wild it can be like that. But
if you got to defend yourself that way, not okay, dude. Yeah, I think in this case we can agree with the internet pretty soundly that not cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for another riveting debate and a glimpse into the collective consciousness of the internet forums. Remember, morality is often shades of gray and not just black and white.
Right. Truth can be stranger than fiction. So stay true, stay strange.
Yeah, and stick around. Next, please like, share, follow, all that stuff. But we're going to be back next week with another really, really interesting one. And I say that having actually no idea.
Because we don't know ahead of time.
We don't know. But I'm guessing it's going to be super interesting because Michael is great at picking these up for us. So
yes.
Tune back in next Wednesday.
Yeah. And as Dan said, please follow and share Veritas Views on any of the podcast platforms with your neighbors and friends. As always, stick around through the credits for the bonus conversation about the seemingly random items in the therapist's office and the stories behind those objects.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits. Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing this show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael MacBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. MacBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's the bonus conversation.
Gayle, you've got a photo or drawing in your office, it's an older black and white picture, or it looks like an older one because it's black and white. What's the scoop with that?
So I assume you're talking about the picture of the nurse. I'm a psychologist. Why do I have a nurse's picture in my office?
Yes. Why do you have a nurse in your office if you're a psychologist? Right? Yes. I didn't know who it was, honestly. I'm like,
right. Yeah. No, she's that's my mom's mom. She graduated. That was her nursing school graduation.
Well, show the picture to everyone. If we
okay.
On YouTube, grab the picture.
All right. Well, this is my mom's mom. Well, lots of reflection there. Sorry, guys. That was her nursing school graduation photo, and I keep it in here because I think it's quite beautiful. It's rendered slightly, but it's probably faded with age. And I love the fact that my grandmother was having a family starting in 1944, and she worked as a nurse. And women didn't work outside the home, let alone necessarily have an identity as a professional. And she maintained her identity as a nurse until she died when she was 90. And I just really admire that as kind of a really strong female role model. So I keep her with me.
Excellent. That's really cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, and tune in again next week, as Dan said, for another riveting Am I the Asshole debate.
We love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.